Welcome back, guys. We have the Chat X podcast here again with our guest. Say hi to the people.
Hey guys, it's Ferris again.
Perfect. And we have a really special episode for you. So, last time we recorded, we just missed one of the big events of really the year, but especially of that week or this month. And that is the assassination of the United Healthcare CEO by, well, by an unknown assailant. Currently, the suspect in captivity is Luigi Mangione, a 26-year-old man, Ivy League educated, who allegedly was suffering from severe back pain. Anything else you think we should add to the background, Ferris?
I'd want to say that it was such a crazy event that happened, and it was so quick, you know, and it felt like some sort of movie when I you see the video and this the story of it, just because the fact that the guy was like a vigilante to an extent, goes up there masked with a suppressor, jammed it, shoots a guy, jam it again, shoots him, and then just dips and on a bike. That
You,
is wild.
you know what it kind of reminds me of, to an extent. Now, clearly,
Hmm.
there's some real differences, and this
Hmm.
this last event sort of faded from public consciousness. Would
Hmm.
be the attempted assassination of Donald Trump during the campaign,
Hmm.
when we got the news about the guy that had tried to take him out. He missed, hit his ear, and
Yep.
there was a real big uproar. Interestingly enough, this one seems to have lasted longer than that one. That one faded from public
Yep.
consciousness pretty quickly. I mean,
Yep.
I think it happened in July, and by August, no one was talking about it. But this one, I mean, it happened early December, and we're still talking about it mid-December. We'll see what keeps
Yep.
going on, but it's still like that's the thing. The Trump one peaked and faded out quickly. This one has, it's really still going, and I think maybe the big difference is that this guy succeeded. Somebody died. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Yep.
When you actually go in and take someone out, that's a big difference, versus an attempted assassination where you fail and the assassin is immediately caught and executed. He immediately died. This guy,
Yep.
the guy's still out there. We're seeing new photos, new videos of him allegedly,
Yep.
and we're not seeing the United Healthcare CEO anymore. He's not going to be in any more
Yep.
pictures ever again. A real
Yep.
tragedy. We looked it up. That guy was in his 40s, much too young for this. I really feel terribly. If we're gonna kill CEOs, we need to kill the old ones, like 65 and up. Like killing a 40-year-old CEO, that's insane. That's ridiculous. Like, come on, man. Aim older. The Donald Trump assassination, I'm like, okay, this guy's like 80. Like, you know what? He's had his run.
Yeah.
But a young
Yeah. It is
45 year
run.
old, young 45-year-old multimillionaire, that's ridiculous. We shouldn't be attacking our own peers, our own cohort. 26 and 45, we're kind of in this together. Take out a 60-year-old CEO next time.
To be fair, Chad, I kind of understand why he kind of did it. So it all kind of goes back to what his health insurance and his severe back pains that he's been going through. So I think that kind of led to the spiral of him doing this, especially with the fact that if you have back pain like how he has it and it's been that bad for such a long time, there might be a situation where it can definitely affect him mentally. Plus also the coverages are just they suck. They like to reject so many people, and it's just a lot of these healthcare CEOs are just extremely immoral, you know? So I think I think everybody sees him as some sort of hero, you know? And the funny part about it, one thing I want to add, Chad, is it's a bipartisan thing too. Like other people that could identify as a Republican, Democrat, or whatever the hell, conservative, liberal, they don't whatever. They all kind of agree with this. They're like, no, these healthcare CEOs are a piece of shits, Excuse my language, but they are. So because they got so many people killed, you know? So I think some people seeing him as some sort of hero, you know.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. He's definitely achieved like folk hero status, like we said. People
Yeah.
really are looking up to him. But this is my problem with this sort of Broadway populism that we're getting right now. The eat the rich
Hmm.
T-shirts, the socialism
Hmm.
and the comeback, social democracy, things of that nature.
Hmm.
They're attacking the wrong targets. Being young and rich, I don't think they should be hated for that. I think young rich people who worked hard, who came from nothing, who achieved something, they should be celebrated. The problem is the old rich people who are pulling the ladder up behind them and stopping young people from climbing. Look, if you worked hard,
Hmm.
if you got there off merit, I believe in meritocracy. I believe in working
Hmm.
hard and achieving something. The problem is that old people aren't allowing young people to do that because they're not moving out of the way. All the previous old generations, they got out of the way. They either died young, life expectancy was a lot younger back then, or they just
Yep.
retired. They downsized. They were like, you know what, I don't need to have a house for a family. I don't have a family anymore. My kids might. I'll
Yep.
give my house to the kids. I'll give, my money to the kids who are actually raising a family. Now they're hoarding it all and they're saying, oh, maybe you'll get it when I die. But most of the people aren't going to get it when they die because they're going to spend it all on end of life care. They're going to spend it all on medicine
Yep.
so they can keep going until into their 80s. They can stay alive even though their mental quality, their quality of life overall, their mental faculties, everything's declining. They're
Yep.
just not allowing young people to get a leg up, and I think that's where a lot of this frustration comes from. Now, clearly, his issue was more healthcare related. I think honestly,
Yeah.
as much as I hate to say it, I think this is more likely to, like, if there's a repeat attacker or a copycat or something else like that, it's more likely to be an old person attacking another young CEO and doing an assassination like that than it would be for a young poor person to go take out a rich person. Because he's Luigi Mangione, if he is the actual shooter, he's
Mm-hmm.
a member of the upper class. He's a young guy who was born into a family with some wealth. He went to an Ivy League school. He's doing pretty well, and I don't hate him for that. I don't hate people who are
Yeah.
born with a little bit more
Of course.
necessarily off the basis of that. But I just think that his anger was so misdirected. He was attacking this 45-year-old man who worked his way up. And yes, it's a crooked industry. It's dirty. It's shady. I think we should restructure the healthcare industry in America for sure. But I don't think this
Mm-hmm.
act is going to lead to that. And I don't think it's going to help with the biggest crisis of our generation, which is old people not giving young people the resources necessary to, one, have families, have children, and that's why we're in a population decline, or will be very soon. That's why we're in an inverted age pyramid, where
Mm-hmm.
there are more old people and more middle-aged people than there are young people and children, especially in
Mm-hmm.
a lot of countries in Europe and Asia. In the U.S., it's not quite as bad. We're sort of like in an age pillar where it's the same across all the groups, but we really do want a pyramid. And this is not going to cause a pyramid. This is taking people out from that middle chunk. This is making it to like an age hourglass, which is one of the worst setups you can have. That means there's no
Yep.
productivity because people in the middle, between 20 and about 50, those are the most productive workers who are keeping things afloat for the young people, the children, and the old people. So
Yeah.
losing that middle bulge and using somebody who was very productive, very successful, a young CEO who worked hard to get to where he was at, I just think this is a real tragedy. And there are so many other CEOs who have had their position for 40, 50 years, who've had it since they were this guy's age, who won't move out the way, who won't give up the reins to a younger generation. I think it's just disgusting that this was the guy who lost it all, who was the victim, who's not around anymore. Because I've seen the new CEO. I've seen the new CEO of United Healthcare that they
Mm-hmm.
put in place of him. Hate to say it, I don't want to be rude. I haven't looked up his age, but if I had to guess, he's in his 60s. He's older than the guy we just lost. They're not using this opportunity, this vacancy, as an opportunity to move somebody young up, to move somebody else in their 40s up. No, they're giving it right back to those old baby boomers who are ruining everything and have been ruining everything for a while. So I think the ultimate net result of this assassination is a net negative. We lost a young hard worker. We lost another young, bright, Ivy League educated 26-year-old guy who could have had his whole life ahead of him to probably to prison. And the only people benefiting from this are old rich people who already have enough, who are already going to do great, and they can afford health care. Young people who don't have the money to pay these giant co-pays and to get great health insurance and to pay on their own for physical therapy and things like that.
Yeah.
We're the real losers in all of this. It's a tragedy.
Yeah. I I like you actually did a good job explaining that. Let me just tell you that, Chad. Um, I actually kind of agree with you on that. I kind
Well,
of do.
well, you started
Even
off.
so, I feel like there's a little bit more to that when it came to like Luigi Mangione's arrest. I feel like I've seen some pictures of like how he was when he was in McDonald's when he got caught, and I think there's no way in hell anybody can see that's him. By just seeing the pictures itself, it's hard to see it's him. So I potentially there might be some sort of illegal, uh, illegal
Monitoring.
monitoring. Yeah, so they can facial recognition scan that that the government used to be able to see it's maybe him. Or it can be as simple as that's not the real one.
You think
Framed him.
you think he's a
You know.
patsy? He's like a guy they're
It
using.
possibly a patsy. But if it's not a patsy, then they definitely use some sort of illegal facial recognition scan to be able to identify him as going against the American people. But again, that goes against who? That goes against the old people, man. Because
I
who's running our country? The old
I
people,
I
man.
think this is an everybody thing actually, and I do agree with you that it's very suspicious the way he was caught. I think
Yep.
a lot of things don't line up, and it makes sense. There's this idea called parallel narratives,
Yeah.
which is the idea that they'll use their secret spy technology to catch somebody and to find out who they need to get and to really get the guy. But then, in
Yeah.
order to not expose that to the public, they'll create a story, a cover story, basically. It's the parallel
Yeah.
narrative is like the new term for it, but cover story is the traditional way to phrase it. And I definitely think
Hmm.
there's some aspect of a cover story involved. I mean, this is very it sounds very conspiratorial. We're not really basing this
Hmm.
on data and a lot of stuff, but the evidence that has been presented does make it a bit odd. If you look at all the details, it's hard to wrap your mind around and really fit all the pieces together. The way the manifesto was written, the fact that he was carrying his manifesto, supposedly was carrying, and this is the interesting part, he was carrying a weapon on him that matched the type used at the scene, but they're not saying it was the exact weapon used. And I think
Yeah.
it's a very peculiar thing to do, to phrase it that way. I think it's very likely
Hmm.
that this is. I mean, people always want to say like, "Oh, the government's going to plant a weapon on you," and it's possible that they did. He
Yeah.
ditched everything else. He ditched the backpack. He ditched the clothes he was wearing. He ditched the bicycle that
Yeah.
he stole and was using. You think he wouldn't
Yeah.
ditch the gun? It's a ghost gun too. It's a 3D
Yeah.
printed weapon. So
Yeah.
it's odd that he would still have it on him all those days later. That he would be recognized by an employee at Walmart when the grainy footage
Yeah.
we saw, at least I'll say the one I saw, did not look like him at all. Like it looked very, very different.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's very odd that
That and the fact that you said, they caught him with his manifesto. I don't. That just sounds odd to me. I'm reading partially of his manifesto. I won't lie, it sounded very Fed to me. You know?
the fact that the first line was, first of all, I respect law enforcement and and the hard work they do. Um, like I respect the federal authorities so much. Like
That is
that's
just a bad thing to say.
it's
You
very
know?
is very not what I would expect from a vigilante who's out here assassinating healthcare CEOs. Not very in line.
Yeah.
It was
The
also
very first thing they would say would be directing towards their main goal in the manifesto, which is at this point is talking about healthcare CEOs that are taking advantage of people. That's what the manifesto should have been talking about mainly, straight up, even the point. But them saying some sort of like
I respect
saying
the
thank you to
feds.
the Fed, that's for
Thank you.
the Fed. That is very Fed thing to say, bro. I'm telling you.
It's very odd, very odd.
So
Yeah, it's just interesting. So you think if he wanted people to read the manifesto, he would have left it at the crime scene. You know what I mean? If that's what he was going to do, if they
yeah,
just said we found it there and it matches a copy he had on him, but for him to just be walking around with it in a McDonald's, like completely unrelated to the scene, it's just it's a very confusing set of events that has unfolded, and it does make you think there might be a cover story being fabricated right now, and that's what we're
yeah.
seeing. It remains to be seen. He might be acquitted. That's the interesting part of all of this
I
is that
think I think he might be too. I think he might be getting out. If he gets out, because the thing is, it's kind of similar to the situation right now. It's kind of like they're trying to, I think, pander in both sides. You know what I'm saying? Because look at what happened in New York with I think his name is Daniel Penny. You know, they let that guy out for killing a guy in choking a guy, killing him in a subway.
yeah, he put a homeless guy in a chokehold, and the homeless
Yes.
guy, yeah, it was tragic. The homeless
Yeah.
guy wasn't that old. Another instance of two young people clashing in a way that makes both their lives get thrown away and nobody benefits.
Yep. Yep. So that for that situation, they kind of I feel like they pander to the right side of the country, and now this right here will pander to the left side of the country if they acquitted him. You know, I think there's a good chance that he might get out scot free, because I think they don't have too much. They really don't have too much proof, as from what I'm hearing. It's hard to kind of like blame this guy specifically without full on proof. You know, so I think they're gonna try. But I think what a damn good lawyer, which the lawyer seems like he is, I think he might get off scot free. And if he does, he's gonna be some sort of political icon in the future. Let me tell you that.
It would be interesting. It would be interesting. You know, it'd be funny. Maybe we can get him as a podcast guest. I'll reach out to him the day he gets
Oh, that
out.
would be awesome, man.
I'm gonna go on his GoFundMe. I'm gonna send him, $10 and be like, please record a podcast with us. Give us 20 minutes of your time.
Yeah, it's like we're not a big podcast yet.
Yeah,
We want to help make us grow.
and his
And you could be our regular guest. He can be our regular guest once in a while.
yeah, and his
So
his manifesto supposedly says he views himself as like a centrist type, not right or left. So, hey, we're pretty good at that. We're not trying to kill all the rich people. We're not
yeah,
trying to attack poor people, homeless people. We're just saying, hey, old people
yeah.
gotta go. So maybe that's a message he can get behind when he gets out of jail.
Oh, I think he would. I think he would too. So
I'll send
the,
him.
the one thing we got to say is kind of free him or free Luigi.
Even though I don't agree with what he did, if that's what it takes, we'll put Free Luigi in the podcast, in every podcast title until he's out. Hopefully that'll, encourage him to try to come on our show when he's out, if he gets out.
Yeah,
Yeah. And maybe, they do a lot of different stuff in minimum security prisons now. Maybe we can get him on while he is in jail. They'll get some mic equipment in
true,
there. We'll see what happens.
true. We just can't talk too much about the case itself. We just talk about his manifesto if he's willing to talk about a manifesto, but it's still part of the case. That's the only issue.
I'm
So,
talking about like if he gets convicted, if he loses. If he's just in there for life
oh,
now.
okay,
Yeah.
got it. That makes sense. Maybe you and I. Is he in New York right now? Right?
I
Is
believe
he in
he
prison in New York?
I believe he's in prison in New York. He has charges in New York and charges in Pennsylvania. Let me, you know what? We're going to go ahead and try to see if we can find that information right now.
Yeah, because I'm
He is in New
curious about
York.
that.
He is in
Okay,
New
so
York.
let's go for a weekend to where the hell the prison's at, and let's go talk to the man. I think that would be a cool idea one day.
Oh no, I'm
Especially,
sorry.
it's
I misunderstood. His lawyer is in New York. He is still in Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
Got you.
got it. So his lawyer's talking about extradition. So he's pleading not guilty to the charges in Pennsylvania. He will be extradited to New York for another hearing. He is at the SCI Huntingdon. Interesting,
Got
interesting.
you.
Yeah. Trip to Pennsylvania. Let's see where Huntingdon is.
I wonder if it's close to Pittsburgh.
It seems like it would be somewhere. I don't know why, but industrial scale, like prisons and steel mills and all that. Like it all has the same vibe to me. It makes me feel like it probably all is in that same area.
Yeah, that's what I keep thinking about when I think about that, especially for a state in Pennsylvania. Will be probably like Pittsburgh.
It's in the middle of nowhere. It's literally in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania. That is where they
Interesting.
that is where they build prisons though. Prisons generally kind of in like the middle of nowhere. They don't want it to be it looks
Yeah,
like
you don't
it's
want to be close to the major cities.
yeah, 'cause you could escape and just blend into the surrounding area real easily.
Operation, yeah.
Yeah, no, he's in.
Interesting.
Oh my God, this is like rural Pennsylvania. Like this is like there's nothing there at all.
Oh man, that's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, not a fun road trip, but one we might have to make. All right, well, it was good
Yeah.
talk. It was good talking to you guys today. Anybody who has anything to say about this case, any opinions, any interest, anything like that, please go ahead and leave a comment below. We will get back to you. I at least will. We'll try to make sure you can get opinions from both of us in the comments.
Mhm.
Also, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate if you do that for us. It really does help us out. Anything else you want to get into today, Ferris, before we get out of here?
I just wanted to say, like, thank you guys for having us and listening to our podcast. And if you guys have any, like, topics you guys want us to speak about, we'd love to hear your suggestions.
Absolutely. Leave them in the comments below. Once again, thank you for listening. Hope you have a wonderful day. Goodbye. Say bye, Ferris.
Goodbye, guys.